Part two of today's Local 6 Legal Line with Mark Bryant, Emily Roark, attorneys from the Bryant Law Center, Paducah and Louisville, answering your questions regarding criminal defense and divorce. We have a question from an anonymous viewer who says, what can someone expect from a second DUI within 10 years?
Well, if you get convicted, then you're going to lose your license and you're going to have an ignition interlock device. It depends on whether or not you have an aggravator, how long that's going to happen for. But those suspensions continue to rise. Also, you're going to go to jail for a minimum of 7 days, and if you have an aggravator, it's a minimum of 14 days. Unfortunately, in most of our counties, including McCracken and surrounding counties, it's usually longer than that. So it's going to be very expensive for you and very time-consuming as far as losing time from probably your job, because you're going to lose your license. So a second offense DUI becomes very serious. And again, if you have an aggravator, which includes a refusal, you're going to do twice that.
I have another question, Emily, I think might be down your alley. It goes back to the texting and driving thing we were talking about in the last segment. And this one comes from Mindy, who says, after an accident, do the police have the right to search someone's phone to see if they were texting during the accident?
They don't have that right unless you give them that right. So we've talked about this before on WPSD. As long as you have a password protected phone, and I strongly recommend that you do, then do not give the police the right to search your phone. You know, these days our cell phones contain our entire lives. They have our pictures, they have all of our communications with everyone that we love. So there's no reason for you to turn over your phones to the police. And quite honestly, with iPhones these days, as long as you have a newer iPhone, I think it's pretty hard for police to get into them. So even if you don't have anything illegal on there, why would you give over your phone to the police and let them see all the privacy of your life? If you're involved in an accident, and then I would certainly tell you not to give over your phone. But people do it all the time. They give them their password, and then it's over. But they can get a search warrant for your phone if they have probable cause. It's very hard for them to get into it anyway. So I would advise you, as I always do not give access to your phone, because they're not going to get in it.
Got about a minute left in this segment, and a question from an anonymous viewer who says, can the family of a child that dies from COVID sue the school district if they did not enforce masks?
I swore I wasn't going to say a word this time, so Emily, take it away.
I think that's going to be a very difficult suit to file. There have been a lot of lawsuits filed over COVID. We've been involved in many of them, and most of the courts are not ruling in favor of them. I don't know if there have been any lawsuits that have dealt with schools that didn't enforce masks. One thing I would want to know is what the state was doing at that time. If the states were requiring, the state that you live in was requiring masks. But what is so difficult about that lawsuit is you have to prove, one, that your child got COVID from school. And COVID is everywhere, has been everywhere, and it is just so difficult to prove where you got it from.
Emily Roark, Mark Bryant, our guest today on this edition of Local 6 Legal Line, attorneys from the Bryant Law Center, Paducah and Louisville. If you would like to review either one of these segments, give us just a little bit of time and we'll process these, pop them up on our website. Just look under the Legal Line icon at WPSDLocal6.com.